Hey everyone, Shadowvisions here, and welcome to the Week 5 Swiss edition of my weekly roundup for the 2025 Marble Blast Summer Tournament. I'm joined here today by a very special guest, Mazik. Mazik, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
What's up, guys? Been playing Marble Blast for ages at this point, and I guess I guess a lot of I've spent a lot of my time uh grinding for solo hunt records, and I guess that's a lot of where my foundation is with with multiplayer. Of course, it's not all I'm good at, but yeah, that's basically it about me.
Very nice. How have you been enjoying the tournament season so far?
Uh, I mean, weeks 1 and 2 are not the most difficult. I wasn't too stressed about those, but weeks 3 and 4 definitely up the ante, and uh, I was definitely a bit nervous going into both my games with MBO and Volts. Uh, and I don't think week 5 is gonna be any different. I'm gonna be real with you.
Ah, how would you compare your level of nerves for coming on the show today with your matches?
Okay. Uh, I mean now it's about the same. Uh, like going into it. Nerves are settling down, so I should be fine.
Oh, perfect. We got a long episode ahead of us, so make sure to
Oh boy.
lock in and get comfortable. All right. Well, the way we do things here is we're going to go through the match results from the previous week. There were a lot of good series to finish it off. And then we're going to look at the updated ELO standings and head into predictions for week 5. Starting from the bottom, of course, we have Death Laura and Porter. I'm pretty sure everyone expected this to be a 3-0 for Porter, unless your name is A Game, in which case you're just trying to lose money. And then we
Not
had Inetro versus GG Jacob, and this was actually kind of an interesting series. Did you have any predictions for this, Mazik?
uh I don't uh, wait. Okay, so for my predictions last week, uh I think I gave it to Netro, but GG Jacob clearly has improved a decent bunch. Uh and I guess to most people's surprise, he took the win, which very happy for since he's definitely been improving at least a little bit, trying to get all the platinum scores on every level.
Yeah, he definitely has, and he doesn't really have that much time to play. But I was really impressed with his ability to stay like in a close series for that long. Given he's so young and so new to the community, it was pretty impressive to see him eventually be able to take it in what was a very close series. I know there were some back and forth games. He lost his own pick on Pyramid. Triple Decker was a very narrow win for him as well. So cool to
Yeah, I
see him
remember.
take that.
I remember Triple Decker. That was. Uh, I think that's the game I remember the most. I think that was fairly close. Uh, I think was Marble it up played?
It was Acropolis 2, Pyramid, Triple Decker, and Blast Club. Jacob wanted to play the Brown building map, which does
Oh,
not exist. I think he was looking for Brown Hills, which was removed. So,
but
not
so
able
you
to
do.
do that. Yep. On the clip on the right here, I'm not sure you got a chance to catch this series, but this was the mega heard around the world where Turk was going for this blue on Prophetic. The game was fairly close, and then it is just absolutely all over for him once this Jacob mega connects onto him. Turk did not really see this coming, having heard the mega. Didn't really think Jacob could get here in time, but astronomical hit coming in here and securing the probably biggest spawn in the game, I would say, on Prophetic.
Yeah, that's. I watched that live. That was something to witness. I'll tell you what.
Yeah, I know Jacob's been practicing this map quite a bit, and Turk really likes it as well. So this was definitely a decisive moment in their battle.
Oh, Turk likes it.
Oh yeah, he's played it quite a bit recently. That's probably why we
Okay.
ended up there in the randomizer. Moving
Okay, it
on,
makes sense then.
we have the 1 and 2 bracket. Yeah, 1 and 2 versus the 0 and 3 for week 4. And this was quite the battle of attrition. Actually, 6 games long, this one. Uh, Finishing up this morning, right at the end of the
Yeah,
week. Do you have any thoughts on this?
honestly, I've said it like twice in the Discord already, but I'm gonna say it again. Pasta Real is the unluckiest player in this tournament, bar none. And uh, getting, I wouldn't say robbed because Red Zone did deserve it, but uh, losing 2-3 and not being able to make playoffs is definitely very heartbreaking as for your first tournament. And I do feel very bad for Pasta Rio, but at the end of the day, Red Zone got the win and gave us quite a few laughs. So
Oh yeah, I know we've got a clip from this series coming up as well. Very exciting one, and of course having the tie on Eye of the Storm. That was a pick that Red Zone knew coming into it that Pasta Rio was going to bring out. They tied the first round, and then Pasta Rio got a bit more comfortable and was able to take it. Given Red Zone's experience, I was very impressed with Pasta Rio's ability to compete with him blow for blow. I mean, when the series is this long, it's going to be very close. Did you have any thoughts about the randomizer draft for this one?
uh, uh, Pasta Real definitely fucked up big time by allowing architecture to be chosen when he knew he was not as proficient at it as he should have been.
Yeah, he asked to see which map was architecture. So I mean, if that's the case, you're probably not going to do very well at staying on the platform. And he actually did start off the game with a pretty big lead off the back of surely some nerves from the side of Red Zone, but it was
Oh,
just
no doubt.
closed up way too fast by the end of the game. And congrats to Red Zone for taking this one. We'll check in later with Pasta Real's Week 5 matchup and see how their journey continues. You have any thoughts about this clip on the right here?
Fuck you for putting this clip here.
Hey, I didn't choose this one. I told him to pick anything from the series, and this is what we got. We have a mega into a failed edge hit. I'm sorry, buddy. Okay, so moving on to the 1 and 2 bracket. A lot of sweeps in this one. Many of them were not super expected, I would say. I thought Yoshi might have been a bit more competitive with Subtract, but some very good series from Subtract to just kind of outpace Yoshi across the board. Definitely showed that Yoshi isn't practicing every week outside of these weekly matches. Just looked a lot more comfortable throughout the series and took a easy 3-0. Keiko Zealous, I think, is pretty interesting as well because at the start of the tournament, I feel like this one would have been pretty close. But these days, like, I don't know.
Yeah,
Keiko
I
should
heard.
not be in this bracket anymore.
Yeah, Keiko has kind of become a monster of his own in like in the mid tiers, I'd say. Like I know he's even taking games off Gene when he's tired. So that's honestly shocking to me.
Yeah, I do feel like people practicing with him are a little bit underestimating him and not giving their full attention, which is going to come back to bite them very quickly if it happens to be in a tournament match. But Keiko is continuing his rapid ascension through the multiplayer tiers and has basically become even with his roommate Lasharkus. So definitely going to have to keep an eye on that as the
Yeah.
tournament season continues.
Yeah, I'll also note that like this level of improvement is very unprecedented. Like we thought that you improved very quickly, Ignis, who else? Osos. I but Keiko is like it he like tops everyone who has gotten good really fast, and that's not even up for debate anymore.
Yeah, I think it's a number of things combined. He has the same level of dedication that I had when I was getting better, but I've also like documented a lot to like help him get onboarded with like the strategy element of the game, and he just really inherently understands how the movement works in Marble Blast, which is much better than I could ever do. Trying to improve in multiplayer, so he's kind of got a lot of things going for him. The only thing that he doesn't is time. There's only a couple more weeks until the playoffs start, and so his improvement is going to reach a point where that's all he can do. So we'll have to see what level of opponent he finally caps out at, but I'm expecting great things from him moving forward.
Yep.
Uh, Carrying on, we have Blue Sock versus Element Lover. Most people thought this was going to be a close series, as did I. Usually they play each other pretty back and forth when they do practice together. But Blue Sock was just a little bit better today, and I think part of this was up to the map pool that was chosen. Picking Parkour Peaks uh, is definitely a pick that Element struggled to really contend with, being an expert difficulty map. And Blue Sock has shown I wouldn't say like entirely proficiency, but certainly a desire to pull out these expert difficulty maps. And it's a very impactful tactic against other players of his level that haven't really mastered how to navigate those.
You said impractical?
Hmm?
You said impractical or practical?
I said he was extremely proficient, but having the expert difficulty maps is really effective against other players of his level.
Oh yeah. I pretty much agree with that statement.
Yep. Element had some close games. He picked Scadium in all angles and got very close. This was basically as close of a series as you can get in a 3-0, but not able to really bring it any further than that for Element, unfortunately. Moving on to Hughesmat versus Farmer's Wife, and this was a really exciting one. I think bets were pretty split. I had Farmer's Wife taking it 3-1 here on the left. Was that
Same here.
similar to your expectation?
Yeah, I thought this. I voted 3-2 because at this point I know they're pretty similar in skill. Or if I think I knew Hughesmat had more experience, but Farmer's Wife in terms of raw skill was not far out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I was extremely surprised that Farmer's Wife was actually able to take Prophetic, which was Hughesmat's pick, because it felt like Hughesmat really had the upper hand with the movement and the speed, and Farmer's Wife really knew how to navigate a map like Core a lot better. So, winning on Prophetic was definitely really impressive and something that she did have to do to push the series to 5 games. What do you think was ultimately the deciding factor that gave Hughesmat the series?
Uh, I think. I mean, there's Hughesmat is definitely the better player when it comes to raw movement. Uh, and I definitely think the randomizer ultimately decided the fate of how the match would go, although
Mm-hmm.
not very clearly, because Stadium is a map that does not have any tricky terrain to traverse around, and at at that at their level, it's all about who can path, or I guess at any level rather, it's about who can path the fat the who can path the best around the gems.
Mm-hmm.
And Hughesmat Hughesmat did just a slightly better job than Farmer's Wife in that department.
Yeah, it was
And
only like a 10-point gap in the end.
yeah, uh, I also did notice that I think both of them didn't really try to use super speeds near the end, which is, I mean, if you're not too experienced with the game, that's very understandable. But I, it's something I noticed at the end of the game that really caught my eye,
Yeah,
as it
there's a
kind of.
lot of hesitation, I would say. I mean, it's very understandable in a game five, really close series where nerves are acting on both players. You're not going to want to be the one to pull the trigger and make that big mistake, but ultimately that hesitation did cost Farmer's Wife not being able to get to the spawn because she was better at having the super speed ready between spawns and going out of her way to pick those up, but they just weren't utilized in an effective way. I was also very
Yeah.
surprised that we ended up on Stadium, given that Triple Decker is a map that I thought would fit her level of aggression.
I
Being
mean,
willing to pick other maps like King of the Marble.
Hughesman had the final say, though, right?
Yeah, but Farmer's Wife actually banned Triple Decker herself.
Oh, okay.
So I thought it would at least been in the final selection, but regardless, well played from Hughesmet.
I mean, if Hughesman didn't mention that there were no that he didn't want any plats on Stadium, I think we could have possibly seen a different outcome.
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely. What was the other map that was the option? It was like Cubile or something.
I forgot, to be honest.
Let me see. Oh, the full list isn't in the turning results. Thanks, MBO. Anyway, final one on the slide. We have Osas 3-0 against Endzone. This was not a very interesting series, and I don't think many people expected it to be terribly close. Just looking forward to future weeks where they have some closer games in their respective brackets. On the right, we have this clip from Eguy versus Frost. Just the deciding moment on Parkour Peaks where Frostfire had a little bit too big of a lead for Eguy to make up in the one spawn, although he definitely did his damnedest to get that last gem over there where Frost couldn't. But 2-point win, giving that over to Frost. And next up, we have the remaining 1 and 2 games, and these were all one-sided affairs, pretty stompy in one direction or the other. Kali taking 3-0 over Ziggleflig, who has yet to have a competitive series with anyone, either stomping or getting stomped. That's just how Challenge has decreed his tournament.
That might change now.
Yeah, I think it definitely will. We'll definitely get into that once we look at next week's games. Plasma versus Surge. One of the games on skating was actually quite close. I think Plasma is a pretty quick player now that they've earned the colored name, but Surge just has way too much multiplayer experience, from what I can tell.
Yeah.
And then we have Plat Oxide versus Jax. This was just I don't know. I don't think Plat Oxide can really compete with the level of speed that Jax has been able to show, even if there's definitely some strategic deficiency in Jax's play at the moment. Plat Oxide is not a quick enough player to really keep up, although we'll have to see how they can fare against kind of the other middle table players in the upcoming week.
Yeah, the outcome of that one didn't really surprise me too much either.
Right. These were all pretty much universal sweet bets in the betting. And we have another Parkour Peaks clip. I wanted to get this play in where he managed to super speed off a wall no one has ever done before and bounce to the other gem here. So good stuff for him.
A real innovation.
Yeah, truly. Very creative player. Then we have...
Oh, okay. The images are wrong.
Oh, you're right. The first mistake of the video, but it is the correct names at least. So A Game did take the 3-0 over Power John 25. And this was very painful. I don't know if you actually got to watch this or hear about it, but the Promontory game in particular really highlighted the difference between these two players.
I didn't watch the game, sadly. I wanted to sleep.
Fair enough.
But I also didn't watch the video. But what I've heard about Promontory makes sense given what PJ has shown in previous skirmishes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, looking at the other maps from that, the other game picked was Epicenter, which is also a very campy map. So I think A Game's come into this tournament with a lot of like strategic decisions and what he picks and what he practices. Epicenter and Promontory are both excellent picks against someone that really is, frankly, bottom tier in the tournament when it comes to the strategy department. Really good at knowing your opponent and how to exploit that.
Yeah, sucked to see, but A Game did what he could, and he pulled through.
He's in the 3-1 bracket now, so really impressive stuff. Will definitely be hard to stay there for sure. I think everyone was kind of hoping to draw A Game this week. But there is danger to that. A Game still has another Eye of the Storm pick. He has the world record on that. Can definitely take that map against anyone.
Not me, bro. Not me.
Well, unfortunately, we're not going to see that match come to fruition, but just trust me, bro. And then the clip here, I don't remember this at all, to be honest, but this was the end of the Epicenter game where the last blue kind of just spawned in front of me, and I was able to win by 1 point. This is definitely the luck coming back around after that sweep game, but we'll get back into that later.
You outrigged Gene in this match.
Oh, I wasn't playing against Connie, so, sometimes the gems could spawn near me. Moving on to the 2-1 bracket, we have Connie taking a very expected result against Robert. Very impressive play there. Robert actually opted to pick Basin Hill, which was frankly never going to work against Connie. Just way too fast of a player to really make that have a chance for Robert, but good attempt nonetheless. Any thoughts on that one?
I think I was at work when that game happened, so I don't really have any thoughts personally.
Yeah, fair enough.
Nothing meaningful anyway.
Do you want to talk about the MVO versus Babaruka series then?
Uh, yeah, yeah, definitely. Uh, uh, so I guess everyone knew uh going into it that MBO had the better experience as he has entered lots of tournaments before, and I don't think nerves affect him as much as it did Babarika in this game. Which it what I've noticed from Babarika is that uh when he's very nervous, he is very erratic with his super speed usage, and he will often make unnecessarily risky super speeds, uh, especially for last gems in a spawn.
He panics,
In
right?
order, yeah, and one moment in particular that really stood out to me was the last few seconds of Stadium, where he very well could have won if he just did not super speed on the last yellow because MBO was not going for it,
Mm-hmm.
and basically bounced off that slope to super speed into the last blue, and he could have at the very least shared it and won the game from that alone.
Yeah.
So
Also reminds me of the PCC game against Ignis, where Babrika definitely could have won that also and had a lead coming into the last spawn, but ultimately just tried to basically super speed for any possible gems and points that he could get. But obviously, Ignis was calm, collected, and was able to get a majority of the spawn once he did that, since those erratic super speeds take him so far out of the picture. Um,
yeah.
how were you expecting MBO's level of play coming into the series compared to what we actually saw today, or not today, but this week?
Uh, it definitely was a bit of a shock to see MBO play below his level that game. I mean, everyone knows him for being one of the more consistent players, but uh, I mean, yeah, it's because of MBO's of lack of form that match and MBO's not MBO's Bobby's nerves that the playing field somewhat evened out between the two, and that resulted in a very exciting game, even though there were a bunch of blunders from I, either party.
Yeah, definitely. I was very impressed to see Bobby take Sprawl against MBO as well. I had a feeling that MBO was going to be very confident on that pick, but ended up losing by nearly 30 points as Bobby really kind of cemented that lead at the end of the game. So good stuff from Bobarica. It shows that they are very competitive with the top level of players, but definitely need to get the nerves under control if they want to make a deep run in this tournament.
Yeah, man.
Moving on, we have Ignis versus Wilches, which actually just happened, the final match of the week. I thought it was going to be a 3-0 for Ignis, as did many people, but it's not that I didn't think Wilches could play well and take a game. It's that I thought it was more likely that he wouldn't. But Wilches actually showed up. Were you there for the match?
I wish I could have been there, but I had to take a call, so uh I could not watch as because I had to like put at least part of my attention to that instead
Yeah.
of that game. So I'm sorry, Wilchers, I didn't see your one win.
Well, the one win was absolute greatness from him. I always say Wilches is extremely good at the Mega Marbles aspect of his game. Not really in like the same way that like John is, where John really wants to like kind of pop Mega you by surprise and catch you off guard. Wilches plays it with much more controlling style, where he just constantly has Mega active and uses that to zone you off spawns or kind of control spawns for himself throughout. And it was extremely impressive what he was able to do on Acropolis too. Wilches really has these like moments where he is basically playing like a top world class player. But those glimpses of performance really only last like 20 seconds at a time, and then it's back to getting in his own head, making really silly mistakes that he's better than. And so everyone knew that that was eventually going to go the way of Ignis over the course of a long series, just because Ignis is an expert at not caring about this match. Really just showed up and got the job done. And there were definitely some strange shenanigans that went down on the decider of par pit as well.
Oh yeah, that I did partially see. That definitely was heartbreaking for Wilches. I didn't even know that the power up visibility bug or whatever you call it was a thing until that match. So I was kind of shocked that it happened to Wilches that game. So like it very unfortunate, but at the end of the day, Ignis decided that he didn't want a rematch, so not much you can really do about that.
Yep, was definitely all in his control. Moving on, we have Nakas and Terry. This was a expected 3-0, I have to say, but I mean Terry had some glimpses of speed. His vortex effect map was very good. And, Nakas picked that one because it was the only map not picked yet in the tournament. Uh, so
It,
that was a
it's
little
a sh-
funny.
it's a shame to be honest, because Vortex is a very good map.
Yeah, definitely one that can bring a lot of action and excitement. And Terry did just that. He was very good at navigating it. Had some good spawns. Of course, doesn't really like using the mega all that much to navigate, as the best vortex effect players usually are able to do. But found ways to use the super speed and gyro very effectively. And Nakas was caught a little bit off guard, so that match could have gone either way. But overall, with the rest of the games, Nakas was just way too good. Had too much multiplayer experience. But the outcome of this doesn't really tell the excitement that I'm feeling for seeing Terry in the rest of the weeks of the tournament. I think he's pretty good.
Yeah, I can't wait to see how he fares up against who's he play? Oh, I guess we'll get to his matchup
Yeah,
later
we
because
will.
I
Yeah.
forgot. But his next two games should hopefully deliver. Oh yeah, I remember his opponent now. This week should definitely deliver for him.
Cool. All right, we have Jacob versus Turk. Another very exciting match that went down last week. Actually, yesterday. And you actually stayed up for this, so I definitely hope it was worth it for you.
It it was at the cost of not much sleep, or I did get enough sleep, but like not enough as I should have.
Mm,
Uh, yeah, this was basically a battle of raw. How do I say this? Not too much aggression versus some more strategy and aggression from Turk's side.
mm-hmm.
Because I've Jacob was one of the people I played the most with in the 2024 tournament. Uh, and I will say, uh, he does not uh he's not usually the aggressor in a lot of matches that we've played, and I've definitely seen more of that in this tourney as well. Meanwhile, uh, Turk has not only trained you but also picked up your your blasting habits, and uh, I guess Turk has gotten a bit better as a result of that. But unfortunately, uh, Turk's map pool wasn't as big as it should have been. And meanwhile, Jacob has a lot of practice on a bunch of maps. Even if he may not be the most aggressive player, he knows the paths better than Turk does, and that ultimately uh, was the sole reason why Jacob won.
Yeah, it really showed on Prophetic how much better Jacob was at just knowing the passing. Turk likes Prophetic because it has some, fun mega opportunities, and he just seems to really enjoy playing the map. And he's performed pretty well against me in our practice sessions on it. Yeah, he really likes playing it. Uh, the reason I predicted Jacob 3-2, and I'm going to be cashing in on this one, is because Turk and his wife actually were on a trip the entire week until Sunday. And they were supposed to get back a bit earlier, but they missed their connecting flight due to a delay. So they were both without practice and in no state to really be playing the game at a super high level. I was honestly very impressed with what we saw from Turk given the circumstances, especially on Sprawl, where after like some early nerves, we really saw him come into his own and just kind of dominate Jacob for the remaining like last 2 minutes of the game.
Yeah, Turk definitely has Turk's Turk's aggression and overall strategy was better as well on that map specifically. But speaking of strategy, I did I did see something in that game that kind of threw me off guard. Jacob actually camped some reds at certain
On
points.
Vortex, yeah.
Yeah, that was uh, I that took me by surprise just
Very
because
intelligent.
yeah, because I mean obviously it's friendlies. I don't I guess it makes sense for him not to do that in a friendly match, but in a tournament match, while it makes more sense, it still throws me off because it doesn't seem like a Jacob thing to do in my mind, but very well played on his end.
Yeah, that Vortex effect, which was Turk's pick, Turk was leading for a lot of the start of the game, but then made some very crucial mistakes, uh, like missing a super speed to get across the map, and then the blue spawned in the middle where he was in no position to get it. And after that, the lead was big enough for Jacob that he just bought out the time. So that's something that his opponents are going to have to definitely watch out for in the remainder of the tournament.
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely.
Clip here on the right, we have the Power John Promontory game. It looks like he was actually doing okay on this spawn, but of course there were a lot of megas to go around from the side of A game, as we see right there. Beautiful stuff from him to take that match pretty decisively.
Poor PJ, he didn't do nothing wrong.
Yeah. Moving on to the other 2-in-1 matches. Neither of these were really going to be that close. We had Zedron taking an expected 3-0 against Eurobeater. Although I will say Eurobeater looked pretty good in this series, especially on Eye of the Storm, where he only lost by 20 points and was actually leading Zedron for a bit. What are you making of the form of these two players so far this tournament?
I mean, everyone knows at this point that Zedron isn't trying as hard at at this point in his multiplayer career. Everyone knows he's got nothing left to prove after winning 3 summer tournaments. So this the fact that Eye of the Storm was close at all doesn't really come as a surprise to me. But I would have been very happy to see Eurobeater get a win on that, for sure. But fortunately, didn't really pan out.
Mm-hmm. And then we had Lasharkus and Endy. These two know each other pretty well. A very friendly match. But I think most people would have expected this to be a much closer match at the start of the tournament than at this point in the middle of it because Endy has just been improving extremely quickly himself.
Yeah. It also does suck that Lasharkus ended up forfeiting after game two. Uh, he could have made a comeback, but
He lost Mason
you
Hill
know,
by over 100 points.
yeah, that game was not recoverable, but you never know.
Oh,
Maybe
of course. It just, I'm imagining he was very mentally defeated after that, and it's unfortunate he couldn't hang in it.
yeah, we'll have to see how this week fares up for him. Ho hopefully he can take the win.
All right. On the right here, we have John typing in chat about the idiots over here trying to get up to the top of Citadel. Red Zone makes it up and promptly falls off. The 20-second cop timer ticks all the way down before any of them get these gems.
Man,
Uh,
this really takes me back. I relate to some mechanical mistakes like that very hard.
I love Pasta Real failing to go up the waterfall at the same time Red Zone did falls. It's just very cinematic. Uh, okay, now we're moving on to the big leagues, the 3-0 matches of the week. We have Eguy versus Frostfire. I thought this one would be a bit closer, but Frosty ended up just being way too much to handle for Eguy on the day.
Yeah, even taking off a counter pick that E guy tried on
Yeah,
Outlook.
Outlook.
He did that because he saw that Zedron and Frostfire faced off in a randomizer on Outlook, and Frostfire and Zedron actually didn't look the most comfortable. So I could see the logic behind that pick, but ultimately did not pan out for him.
And then, Eguy actually countered with taking Basin Hill off of Frostfire, which I think is a very risky pick to someone like Eguy, who's known for being very fast and very good at the skill shots. So that also backfired. And then it was really up to the final map on Parkour Peaks of the series where Frostfire was able to win by 2 points, as we saw earlier. And Frostfire getting quite a bit of experience on Parkour Peaks, having both Ignis and Eguy pick it against him. So it's getting less effective by the series as he has to be ready for it against all these other top players.
Yeah. Uh, it was a bit upsetting seeing Igai lose on Parkour Peaks, but I mean, I get against a player like Frostfire, it doesn't come as too much of a shock.
Yep. And yeah, I think all of us were a little bit disappointed we didn't go to randomizer for that one, but well done to Frostfire nonetheless. Then moving on, we have your series for the week, where I was one of the few to predict you to win, and unfortunately that didn't pan out for you. How would you make of your time this series?
Uh, I mean, I definitely did not have the highest of expectations going into it. I'm sure you know that very well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Uh, but I guess um, how do I put this? Uh, I I didn't want to like think too hard about what maps to pick. Uh, so I just kind of ended up going with prophetic mainly because I saw how he performed against Robert on that game, and with Robert being able to be within 30 points at it with on a decent chunk of that map, I figured maybe maybe I could throw him off, and throw I did definitely throw him off.
Yeah, it definitely worked in
Uh,
the first half of that map.
yeah. And then architecture, it didn't come as too much of a shock to me, just because it's a it's a popular map. I'm not exactly known for being super deadly on those, and while I did hang in there for like halfway through, that one mega clip you showed earlier just completely ruined me.
Yeah. It was a good
Like,
effort, though. It felt kind of like a trend throughout the series where you were basically even at the halfway point of most of the maps, but in the back half, it was really where Voltage got comfortable and started getting a substantial lead.
yeah, I would say Marble City was definitely my worst performing map with mistakes pretty much all around, and I'm surprised that even ended up being a 25-point difference.
Yeah. What actually inspired you to pick Gems in the Road? Because I know that was a map that you tried to pick in the last time that y'all met in the playoffs last year.
Okay, so uh, there, I I know you said that it was a revenge pick for me. I didn't care about fucking revenge, man. I just wanted to play something fun.
Uh huh. Very cool.
Uh, yeah. I guess the symbolism there was definitely nice story wise, I guess. But uh I, I it's just Gems on the Road is just a map that I really like to play just because it has a lot of spawn abuses. I love those a lot, and uh I figured I might as well just stop giving a fuck and choose that because fuck it, I might as well have fun if I'm gonna lose.
Fair enough. You heard it here. Number one abuser in the Marble Blast community.
Hell yeah.
What do you make of this clip here on this slide?
Uh, I mean, my reaction, it was basically just the same as everyone else's that was there casting, or not casting, but you know what I mean. Uh,
Reacting.
yeah, I was dumbfounded that Porter knocked Deathlore in such a way for her to be able to get that blue. She, I said in the Discord, I'll say it again now. She won 7-0 in my heart just because of that.
Yeah, I mean this very well may be the clip of the tournament for me. Like the alley oop into the basket on a Acropolis is so funny, and it's not often we see Deathlord collect the blue, so it was kind of a feel good moment for her and everyone. Moving on to match of the week. I don't like putting myself here, but the vote did not really give me many options, as I'm sure everyone saw. We have currently 21 votes in the poll, and all 21 of them are for John versus myself. One of the closest series of all time, apparently, which I guess isn't too surprising given that four of the five maps were decided by 5 points or less.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on this series as a viewer?
Uh, okay. So I definitely thought Cubile was a decent pick, and uh, I know Gene said he didn't feel threatened by Cubile, but I mean, even if you're like 5 points down on Cubile by once the game ends, like it's not. I wouldn't consider that a bad pick necessarily.
And with ping
Uh,
disadvantage.
I mean, yeah, but still, it's 5 points, nothing to scoff at. It's still a close game. Could have gone anyone's way. But Gene, Gene definitely threw you off a threw you off a decent bunch with Mega Marbles, especially at the end with a very decisive Mega Marble to seal it.
Mm-hmm.
Battle Cube, Gene's fucking dumb as shit. Uh, uh, I don't.
Sorry, John.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know why you picked that into Shadow Visions. I mean, not only does he have a similar skill set to you, but you're at a ping disadvantage and you rely on ping to compete. Why would you choose this?
Yeah, even after the match, he was very confident that it was still a good pick and that he had a bad start. But then we played a friendly game after on BattleCube to kind of confirm his suspicions, and I beat him again. So, yeah, a little bit of a strange one, but it was something that I was ready for.
Yeah. And then sweep, uh, that that could have gone anyone's way to be honest. But Gene's a lucky motherfucker, and he got a blue at the at the last minute. That was right next to him. And I think you also fumbled a bit. Yeah, I think you hit something, or either you hit you hit something, or you super speeded too late into the
On the
blue.
last spawn, I super speeded, but the blue was already gone because I had lost track of where John was at that point.
Right.
I probably could
Yeah.
have gone for the rest of the gems in the spawn, and it would have been extremely close. I have no idea if that would have been enough points or not. But I made a ton of mistakes in that game, and it was still as close as it was. I know I definitely screwed over John with Blast at some point, which is always the goal in playing this map. Um, yeah, I feel very confident in my play on this map usually, but nerves kind of made it a lot closer than it otherwise would have been. And yeah, like you said, I got unlucky at the end.
Yep. But what can you do? I mean, uh, it luck's the name of the game.
Yeah, I usually play like a very calculated risk style with my positioning, and you're never gonna be able to win every single game if you play like that. I play for law of averages and the majority of the spawns to work out for me, but at the end of the game, that can go either way. So I think Shark has said that if it was any other spawn that I would have won, which is probably likely, but it's fine. The luck came back eventually.
Yeah, I definitely agree with him there. Nadir, I don't feel like I remember the least about Nadir aside from the ending, where you grabbed an expired red to. Oh yeah, what was it?
I whiffed the
Gene
blue
last.
twice.
Yeah. Wait, was it Gene or you?
I missed the blue twice. It spawned and I was closer, and in my head, I was like, if I get that blue, I win the game. Right? There was like 10 seconds left. And so I went for it, and then I went back for it because I still had time, and then I missed twice, and then I turned around and was like, there's no way I can go for this a third time. So I just got whatever I could, and it was enough.
Yeah. Uh, and then Epicenter, man, that was a nail biter.
It was really a clash of two styles. He would always go for the mega. I would always go for the gyro. I knew, he picked server advantage for the randomizer, so there was no way I was going to be able to compete with him on like the mega usage at all. And even if it was on Ashburn, he would probably have had still the upper hand that way. So I had to lean into my, more speed style of play, which is not the most comfortable for me, but it was able to get like a 7-1 on the blues. John was, of course, controlling the center extremely well, and it was basically an even game back and forth the entire time until he had about 5 point lead at the end, and Blue just appeared in the middle.
Yeah, he also wanted to he opted to use Mega Marbles for traversal, which I've thought about using before.
It's high risk
And
and high reward, and he didn't really manage to pull it off.
I feel like it's not as high risk as you think, just because if you practice like the trajectories, it shouldn't be that bad, but
Maybe high difficulty is a better word
yeah.
compared to using the gyrocopter.
Yes, and everyone could see like in that game, like it was actually fairly even-ish. But actually, do you mind going back to that epicenter clip that
Yeah.
was there?
Uh, Here.
Yeah, so what happened at the end? Did you just ping steal the yellow or something?
So looking here, I can't really pause it, but 3 points, 4 points for John. He goes. I get the red. I get the blue. He misses the blue, gets a red, and I think yeah. Keep in mind this is from Terry's perspective recording, so he is
Uh,
actually behind the server time. So on my screen, I'm already through the yellow that John got there.
I see.
Yeah.
And I was also sort of surprised that you didn't mega him away or something, but I guess you activated it too late.
Yeah, I don't remember anything about this game to be honest at this point, but I imagine what I was thinking was just get the gems. Get the points. I got the blue, get the points. And it was enough. So yeah. Very narrow victory. And I know this wasn't John playing at his peak form, but still proud I was able to get that done.
Yeah, good job, man. You're 4-0.
Thank you. Not bad for first summer tournament, I would say. Let's take a break and look at the ELO chart for this week. The stat of this week is 100% of Match of the Week votes cast. Definitely the only unanimous vote we've had thus far. There's actually quite a bit of movement this week in the ELO. We see people like E-Guy moving down 5, yourself down 5, unfortunately, as Voltage takes most of your ELO to give. We see Jacob and A-Game making some big gains. Anything stand out to you in this?
I should have lost like at least 3. I won 1 game. Come on, give me some leeway.
Yeah, I think there is a something that you guys were very close to start with. So the fact that he was able to kind of take a dominating win on architecture in Marble City, the margin really went up as a result, whereas you only won by like 2 points. So it didn't really move the needle that much. For similar reason, I'm not all that high, even though I'm in the 3-0 bracket. Zedron is still ahead of me because he consistently is getting wins. And has actually only lost 3 games, which were all in that series, to John and by pretty close margins. So,
Lucky bastard.
yeah. Sharky went down quite a bit. And of course, down at the bottom of the table, there's not a ton of movement here in the middle since most of the games are split into the 2 and 1 and 1 and 2 bracket. So there were not really a lot of clashes between the middle of the table.
Hmm.
So big gains by Red Zone and Blue Sock, though, for Red Zone, I think, was able to take most of Pasta Real's elo. The games that Red Zone won were definitely more decisive overall, so that probably contributes. Um,
Yeah, for sure.
and then Blue Sock was able to sweep Element Lover, so that's going to be a ton of his elo going his way, even if the margins weren't that big. Porter moves up. Congratulations, Porter. Went from second to last in the pre-seed and now fourth to last in the elo, so making big gains.
Yay.
Let us continue back into the predictions for next week. I can probably imagine what you are thinking for this series.
7-0 for Deathlora.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, that is not a match result that Challenge will accept. So, yeah.
Oh no, man.
Congrats
Okay.
to Inetro for drawing that.
But yeah, I have 3-0 for Deathlora's not Deathlora. Inetro as well.
Yeah. And then we see our dear friend Pasta Real off the back of an 0-4 playing above his bracket. Now draws the short straw at the 0-4 bracket and has to play the 1 and 3 player of Farmer's Wife. Very different play styles from the two of these for sure. What are kind of your expectations for this?
Uh, I I could see them winning each of the games on their own picks. Uh, I will say that I think Pasta Real is definitely a little more Mega Marble heavy than Farmer's Wife. I'm not 100% sure on that. I mean, I definitely felt it in my game of Treasure Box against him. But I feel like overall, Farmer's Wife is just a little more strategically sound. So I feel like I'm gonna have to give it to Farmer's Wife 3-2.
Nice. Yeah, something that surprised me in her series was knowing like the respawn tech on Cragmire. Because, I mean,
Oh,
she couldn't path around that map to save her life, but she at least knew what to do. She just couldn't execute. And there was one
oh,
blue at the end of the game where she spent like 15 seconds trying to get stuck up on the steps and eventually lost the blue. It was so sad.
I completely forgot about that, man. Man, my heart's broken again. But I believe she'll pull through this time.
All right.
And of course, Pasta Real's already gone from the playoffs. So
Yeah,
uh,
there's nothing in it for him. This is purely a spoiler match at this point, and for Pride, of course. I actually went the other way. I think Pasta Real is a faster player in a similar way that we saw from Hughes Matt. I mean, you have to have some level of speed to get that colored name. I don't think Farmer's Wife is capable of that kind of feat at the moment. Uh,
oh,
so
yeah.
I
That
went through too, but I think it definitely could go either way.
Yeah, I don't know why I didn't consider that, but yeah, you're totally right on that front. Uh, I'm still gonna leave it as Farmer's Wife just because too lazy to change it.
Hey man, the more we disagree, the better content for the viewers. So.
Hell yeah.
All right, now this is where it gets spicy. These are the elimination games for the week. We've got five of them. Do or die to make it into the play-ins in week five. First up, we've got Porter versus Plasma. I think while Porter is coming off of a hot win against Death Laura, I don't think this one is going to really be feasible given Plasma's colored name status and relative speed. So I think everyone is going with the 3-0 for this one. How about yourself?
I don't. I agree with you. I nothing else to talk about there.
Yep. What about GG Jacob versus Element? Because I think this could actually be a pretty exciting one.
Uh, I actually had Element Lover as 3-0.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I mean, obviously I haven't inspected these players too in depth like I have higher level players, but uh I mean, given that Element Lover won against Pasta Real, uh, you'd have to think that uh, he can win against GG Jacob, who, while he has been improving, uh, you don't know if it's going to be enough. That
Yeah.
is the issue.
Right. I don't know. Element has a little bit of struggles. He has yet to win one of his own map picks. So,
Oh,
yeah. I mean, he's definitely still, I feel like, a better player than GG Jacob. I've given the series 3-1 to him, but I think Jacob's improved enough to be able to take a game. Probably whichever map Element picks is the one that GG Jacob will win, to be honest.
we'll have to see then.
Yep. Next up, we have Ziggleflig versus Herzealous. I'm super excited about this one because it is my friend versus Turk's brother. What are you thinking for this?
I mean, I'm in a similar boat to you. It the storyline there is just too good for this match. It's only topped by one other match, which we'll get to later. But uh, I, I, there's no rhyme or reason for my prediction, but I put her zealous 3-2.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it, like I said, no rhyme or reason. I just had to choose someone, but in my bet amount, I do have $100, so I'm really not certain about this one.
Ah, he's scared to commit to his bets. Yeah, I think this is really exciting because Zealous played Osas and now is playing Ziggleflig, and maybe at some point he'll play Element Lover as well and run the whole gauntlet. I've given it 3-2 to Ziggleflig. I think that no one really knows how good Ziggleflig is because he hasn't played any competitive series. Um,
You're you're just biased because he's your friend.
okay, maybe that's true, but he does very well against Element Lover, and sometimes even Osas. And given that Osas was able to 3-0 Herzelis, I think Ziggleflag should be able to take out a very cutthroat series. Either way, I think it's going to be close.
Yeah, definitely.
Moving on, we have Power John 25 against Endzone. Power John is starting to collect his reward for being drawn a poor hand for the rest of the challenge bracket. So I think everyone knows this is going to be a 3-0. Sorry, Endzone, for drawing this one, but going to be eliminated, unfortunately.
Big sad.
Then we have Yoshi versus Plat Oxide. I think this one could be really interesting as well. How about you?
Uh, yeah, this is on top of Ziggleflag and Herzelis. This will also be a close match, albeit not as exciting as Ziggleflag and Herzelis, just because there's no story behind it. Uh, I I personally gave it to Platoxide 3-2, just because I know their movement isn't the most refined, but for both of them. But obviously, Platoxide plays more. Yoshicraft doesn't really give a fuck about the tournament too much outside of when he actually has to play.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but I mean, you never know what Yoshi can whip out in the moment.
Yeah.
He could whip out his signature Eye of the Storm pick
He's still
or
got one more of those, yeah. Although he's reached his limit on ramps or ramps. And I feel like there's not as many like schizo maps, quote unquote, this year as there were before with Exoplanet and Gravity Tower and Wonky Waters all removed. So
I
we'll
mean
see what Yoshi can pull out.
Yoshi still has core and Battle could be revisited.
I think those could definitely throw Plat Oxide for a loop. For that reason, I've agreed with you. I think it's going to be a 3-2 Plat win, but I think Yoshi can easily win both of his picks.
Yep, he's just got to be smart, or both. Platt has to be smart with how he plays rather.
Yep. Now moving on to the very expansive 2-2 bracket. We've got 16 players in this hunk of a middle tier. Starting off with Lasharkus versus Terry. This is another one that I feel like really could go either way. I've seen bets already coming out on both sides.
Yeah, this is, I think without question, this is easily the best match of the 2-2 bracket, just because you have Lasharkus who really wants to be in playoffs, and Terry I mean, he had to sub for Quill, but he's he's definitely he's definitely bringing the heat with how he's playing, especially with that Vortex game against Nakus. And I think these two are very similar in skill level. Uh, they're able to slightly hang on with the best, but they ultimately fall short by the end. Uh, so I guess it just because I know Lasharkus wants to play in the playoffs, I have him winning 3-2, but it could easily go Terry's way.
Right. And I think Terry is much more of like a pacifist player, and Lasharkus understands multiplayer strategy to a higher level than Terry does, but he's just not as quick around the map. I've actually gone the opposite way. I've given it to Terry 3-2, and I actually have some insider information for my reasoning. Lasharkus is actually going to be on a trip this week, and we'll have to play on a suboptimal setup and likely not be practicing very much. Not that I think Terry's really going to be doing that much practicing either, but I think it might be enough to make the difference in a deciding game. So,
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Uh,
well, I don't know if anyone was actually told, so you might not have
it,
forgotten.
oh yeah, it wasn't really said in the PQ server, but
Yeah.
uh, anyway, hoping Charkus wins, but uh, you just who knows what's gonna happen really.
Yeah, I know that he would not be terribly excited if Kago qualifies for playoffs before him, but it is definitely a plausible world that we live in. Next up, we have Robert versus Subtract. I actually forgot what I put for this. Let's find out. Okay, I said 3 out of Robert. Uh, yeah, I thought he looked not great against Connie, but I mean, we saw in the prophetic game against Voltage that he can hang with the best, and some practice games I've done with him. He's not quite there, but still competitive. So I think against Subtract, it should be a favorable match for him.
Yeah, I agree. It's I put 3-0 for Robert as well.
Cool. Then we have Wilches against Sergi. Sergi has definitely been having a rough go of it this tournament, but he will be going up against Wilches. I think Wilches is definitely a faster player and better multiplayer player, but Wilches is also very prone to getting in his own head, and things kind of fall apart when they don't go the right way. So I do think if Surge gets a foot in the door in this series, it could be more competitive than it might seem.
The taunt spams in that game is gonna be unreal, man.
Yeah, I'm sure we're going to see the number one quite a bit on the keyboards. I've gone 3-1 for Wilches. I think Surge will probably be able to take a game at some point.
Uh, I definitely believe Surge is good enough for that against Wilches, but I I think I said 3-0 for Wilches. Uh, no disrespect to Surge, of course.
Yeah, I think
Uh,
Wilches just looked good against Ignis, so that's entirely reasonable.
yeah.
Okay, Bob versus Blue Sock, the battle of the children here in week 5. I think this is probably the worst draw Blue Sock could have gotten, and yeah, he's gonna have to be looking towards week 6 to make it into that playoff.
Yeah. Sucky, but what can you do, man?
Yeah, it seems like Bob might be taking him to the old farm out back and treasure box, getting some point differential for the tiebreaker. So I wish him the best of luck in surviving that for Blue Sock. Then we have Kago versus Hughes Matt. I think with Kago's form, there's no possible way that this is anything other than a 3-0. Thoughts?
Yeah, I don't. I have nothing else to say. I completely agree with you there. Kago is just rising too much. He needs to fight someone his level.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're only probably going to get 1 week of that at the end there, and it'll be for Kago to be 4-2 at the end, which is entirely possible. That's crazy. Okay, moving on to the other 2-2 games. You have Eurobeater versus Osas. I think both of them have had pretty decent showings. Like Osas was able to take a game off Wilches. Eurobeater was able to look competitive in certain games against Zedron. So, how are you envisioning this going?
I think Osas maxed out his picks on hunting around, right?
Yeah, he's at max for that.
Okay. Uh, yeah. I don't know off the top of my head what map Osas could pick against Eurobeater, but uh, ba basically if Wilches v Osas was anything to go by, I would I would put this at 3-1 for to Eurobeater, just because I know Allsauce is very crafty with his blasts, thanks to a certain someone
Yeah,
that I have right here.
Osas is basically me but worse. So, and I mean that as a compliment to him. I've also gone for a 3-1. I think Osas is very good at certain picks in the pool, um, and I think that's going to be enough to take a game. But your beater just has way too much experience and will be able to pick things that he can win on, and is going to be highly favored if it does go to a potential randomizer. But I'm still looking forward to this one. Next up, we have Jax versus Kali29. Jax has been outspeeding everyone, and Kali's looked solid at times, but not really stunning, I guess you could say. How are you thinking this will go?
Yeah. Honestly, it it's not. I wouldn't be too surprised if Cali shows flashes of his 2016 peak. Uh, but ultimately, I'm giving it to Jax 3-1 because if Cali's game against Robert was anything to go by, he could still hang in there and take a game. It's just is he able to not make game breaking mistakes against Jax, who
Right.
yeah, who is quite frankly faster than him, I think. Although I haven't played Cali, so I can't exactly compare the two.
Yeah, so I think if Kali wants to have a chance in this series, it's going to have to be a similar playbook as what we saw A Game using the Power John. Jax is really not proficient at the strategy element of multiplayer and doesn't really seem interested in working on that aspect of his game either.
Yeah,
So I think if we see Kali go for a camp heavy map like Epicenter, which he was able to beat MBO on, I believe, last year, which is
yeah,
not that long in the past, mind you. And then as well, Promontory is another good pick. Or just take Jax to some aggressive maps like Triple Decker, King of the Marble, anything with megas. I feel like Kali could have a window in here, but for that not reason, I've given it a 3 out of Jax because I think it's more likely that Kali just picks whatever he feels like and Jax is able to outspeed him.
yeah. Calais needs to have like an early like, oh, how do I put this? Like, uh, early. He basically needs to go Ultra Instinct and tap into his 2016 peak uh earlier than expected, and to be able to fend off Jax.
Right. Yeah, and finally for the bracket we have Turk versus Red Zone. I think congrats to Red Zone for beating Pasta Real, but you're up against a big dog now, and it's not going to go very favorably for him.
Yeah, what can't really do much about that.
On to the 3-1 bracket. Very exciting set of games here. I think all of these have the potential to be pretty interesting. First up, we have Jacob versus Nakas. With Nakas being in Vermont and not really committing that much time to practicing the game, but still, a faster player than Jacob, I would have to say. How do you think this one will go down?
Apparently, being in Vermont turned him into a fucking Yoshi.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
But uh, I in my opinion, I feel like Nakas could take it. Although I wouldn't be surprised if it's somewhat close, just because Nakas doesn't commit as much time to practicing as of now. And Jacob, like I've mentioned previously in his match with Turk, he's more like speed and pathfinding oriented around the gems rather than uh rather than aggression. So that'll be where Nakas has the edge over him, and that's where I see Nakas winning.
Right. What would your score prediction be?
Oh, did I not say that? I said 3-1 to Nakas.
Okay. I have given it 3-2 to Nakas. I think Nakas might be more favored over the large pool of potential randomizer maps than Jacob would be. But I think Jacob will be able to find picks that he's able to win on.
Jacob, picky huts.
Next up, we have your game against Endy, which I think a lot of people are excited about. How are you feeling going into this one? You don't have to give me a score or anything, but are you excited?
Uh, y- yeah, I played some friendlies with Andy, and he's no joke. He beat me by like 2 points on Gems Ahoy, so he's definitely
He's
not
good
one
at
to
that one.
yeah, he's not one to underestimate. He could take a game or two off me, for sure.
Right. And I feel like he's gotten like a lot better with his intelligence in multiplayer, and honestly plays a pretty similar style to you. I feel like you have a little bit more, you know, honing of that than he does. He's still kind of a work in progress as he's working on these things throughout the tournament. But I've given it 3-1 to you. I think a lot of people are doing the same as well. I think it's quite likely that Indy is able to find something to win on, or even just a game where you're not 100% at the top of your game. But overall, I think you're a better player. So giving that one to you.
Fair
Moving
enough, I
on.
guess. Yeah.
Yeah. We got John versus A Game. Two of probably the most aggressive players in this bracket, if not the entire tournament. I think A Game was the one that everyone wanted to draw in this 3-1 bracket, and John, being one of the top players in this group, was able to get that. So I'm sure he'll be feeling good about this, but at the same time, A Game has a very dangerous pool of maps to draw from.
Yeah, and well, I guess here's how I would envision the match would go. I don't really see A game. Wait, did A game max out Eye of the Storm yet?
No, he's got one more.
Oh shit. Okay. Uh, so basically, I don't really see A game picking the Mega Marble heavy maps against Gene just because he's going to be playing at a ping disadvantage, and quite frankly,
Exactly.
Gene has uh Gene has more experience there. Even if A game was able to take a game off Zedron on Marble Agility course a few years ago. Uh, so if I guess since A game has to get out of his comfort zone a little bit in order to beat Gene, I'd uh I'd say Gene has an somewhat easy 3-0.
I've also given a 3-0 to John. I think A game. There's definitely a world where A game wins a map here, but I think it's probably a bad matchup for him to get because against some other players, like even against like Ignis, I feel like he has a stylistic advantage on his picks, right? But against John, that's completely nullified. Now there is the reverse in some extent where John can't really get away with the mega heavy maps as easily because A
Yeah,
game's
but
going to
he's
be proficient.
yeah, but at the same time, Gene has better experience with the rest of the map pool.
Exactly. So John can go for that route and should be able to comfortably win. Finally, we have Zedron versus Ignis. Both of these players in their not giving a fuck era. Uh, but I think Zedron just has much better fundamentals overall and is probably more immune to the rust.
Uh, yeah, yeah. I actually said Zedron 3-2. Uh, just because, I mean, yeah, like you said, both of them are uh not practicing as heavily as they ideally should be. But uh, I I don't really have an I mean, I did have a reason for picking Zedron. He's fucking Zedron. But
He's the goat.
yeah. Um, I just feel like with Zedron's carelessness somewhat, uh, I feel like Ignis could take a few games. Hell, maybe Ignis could even win. Who knows? But uh, like if for that reason, I put 3-2 Zedron.
Yeah, I think if John can sweep Zedron, Ignis can definitely take a game. I've given him one game. I think with Parkour Peaks reaching its limit here, having picked it against Wilches this morning, I don't see a huge amount of surface area in the map pool for Ignis to really find wins against Zedron. I think he might be able to do it once, but I definitely expect Zedron to be able to win out overall, especially when the MBU maps are in play.
Zedron is also very well practiced on parkour peaks, so that I don't know if that would work too heavily, especially when Zedron is really warmed up.
Yeah, that's fair. Then we have our 4-0 versus 3-1 bracket where Connie was rewarded for her high strength of schedule with playing Frostfire. Thanks, challenge. Uh, this is going to be a very tough match for her.
Uh, yeah, definitely toughest match Connie will have to deal with. Uh, but as far as how the match will actually play out, uh, I gave it 3-1 to to Frostfire. Uh, I think other people have said 3-2, but I I have a specific reason why I have 3-1 to Frostfire, and I won't say it because I don't want to influence the match. But uh, let's hope let's hope my prediction comes true.
Wow, keeping secrets from the class. This guy actually doesn't have any analysis to give, huh? I gotta get someone else on the show. I've given it 3-1 to Frostfire as well. Not for any shenanigans like yourself, but I just think Connie will probably be able to find one map that's able to get a win. Probably not both. And I think Frostfire should be highly favored on his own comfort picks, of which he has many left to use here in the remaining 2 weeks. So, yeah, I think this is, upset material possibly for Connie here. Very strong player overall. If Frostfire has a bad day, there is a chance. So I wouldn't write her off yet, but I think 3-1 is most likely for me.
Yep.
All right, then we have the only top bracket match for the week, and I'm in it. Good job, me. This will probably be the last time I'm here, though. So, yeah, Voltage versus myself. How are you expecting this one to go?
I'm expecting 3-2 to you.
All right, paying back some of the delusion I see. Well,
Yes, we're
thank you.
both crazy.
Crazy for each other. I love to see it. Yeah, I think common sense and other bets are saying this one will be a voltage win. Although I have been very surprised with the amount of people saying I'll get 2 games. So thank you for those with the faith. I will do my best for you. But yeah, hopefully by the end of the tournament, if I face voltage again, I will have more experience as I'm still improving week on week. So we'll see how this one goes and if I can find anything that can get me some wins. Uh,
Yeah, best of luck, man.
Seriously speaking, though, how do you expect this to play out stylistically?
I also logically expect Voltage to win as he beat me and you're of a similar level to me, although with different strengths. Uh, I would, yeah, I feel like Voltage has much more experience on, especially the MBU maps. Uh, whereas you're still trying to like have you're still trying to refine your mechanics, although they are still very good. Uh, it's just not super top level yet, and I'm not to say that like uh I'm I'm one of the best in that department either. I'm inconsistent sometimes, but uh I just feel like Voltage has that speed edge over you, to be honest.
Oh, I think
Although
that's a
not by
very
too
fair
much.
assessment. So you
Yeah,
don't have to worry.
not by it's not by too much though.
All right, if you say so, man. Moving on to our featured matchup, we have Eguy versus MBO, which apparently happens at least once a tournament. So it happened in winter warm up, and we saw how that went. MBO gave Eguy the 3-0, and it was very unfortunate for him. It feels like Eguy has some sort of mental block when it comes to this matchup in particular.
Yeah, he definitely not been the luckiest, having been actually fully swept. He hasn't taken a game off since like 2023, I think.
Yeah, why do you think that is?
To be honest, fuck if I know. I feel like Eguy should be the better player in theory, but like I I feel like it's definitely nerves playing playing into it. He said before that he still experiences nerves playing higher level players, and MBO is no exception. But for this, I have given the odds to EI 3-1 actually.
Oh, interesting. Interesting.
Be- I feel like MBO will fumble on uh, I mean not necessarily fumble like picking a map, but I guess the execution wise, EI might be a bit better. And it's not like I lost my train of thought there, but uh basically, I feel like Eguy is the better player, just I feel objectively speaking at this point, and he has definitely taken some tips from you in regards to how to play better, whereas MBO has not, or not as well as Eguy at least.
Yeah, seems to not be as willing to adapt to the new style of multiplayer that we've been seeing.
Yeah, so as long as Eguy plays his cards right and doesn't let nerves get the best of him, I could see this being a decisive victory for Eguy, but uh, I guess what really makes this match so significant is, I guess, like we touched on earlier, just the context, how Eguy has not been able to win even a single game or round, I guess, against MBO, and seeing him finally pull through would be a very exciting conclusion to that character arc of his, I guess.
Yeah, well, he is the anime protagonist of multiplayer, so that would be cool to see indeed. I personally feel like if he's able to get the one win on the board, then the series is going to be competitive. But if Igai, I'm not actually sure who's picking first in the series at the moment, but if Igai starts off the series with a pick and loses to MBO, I could see another sweep, to be honest. Uh,
It should be MBO's pick first.
okay, well, then I think losing on MBO's pick is not going to do that much, but if he goes down 2-0, I think a sweep is actually quite likely. But
Yeah,
we'll have to see.
last year was due to his parkour peaks game against MBO had him playing at like 30 FPS, and it was surprisingly competitive even with that. But MBO still managed to squeak out the win there, and unfortunately, we didn't get a redo on that parkour peaks game, so it could have been very different otherwise.
Yeah, I guess are you expecting MBO to kind of bounce back from the level that we saw against Babarika and play better against Igai? Or are you expecting kind of a constant level?
Oh, I would definitely say that's a one-off thing for MBO. He could easily bounce back and kick some ass against E guy.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
kind of what I'm expecting as well. In terms of the map pool, I've got quite a few of their favorites listed out here. I know eGuys is a bit more uh, public, I guess, in terms of what everyone expects from him. But we've also seen both of them pick Outlook that so far this tournament. Are you expecting the maps listed here to kind of be the picks, or do you think we're going to see some things out of left field from each of them?
Uh, Iga could definitely throw one or two things up from under his sleeve. But for MBO, uh, I'm not. I kind of have the same assessment as you. I feel like I don't know if MBO's picks are going to be too surprising, although some will, some may or may not come out of left field, depending on how well researched Igai is into MBO. Because I know when MBO picked Outlook against me, uh, it was definitely a bit of a shock. But then I realized, oh, right, bro, bro is well practiced on that, and like because of that, he was able to take the win against me decisively. Even though I, if I did my due diligence, I probably would have been more prepared.
Yeah,
But
that one
yeah,
surprised me too. So I wouldn't feel too bad about that one. Very impressive the level that he showed on that map. So okay, that is it for the slide deck. Anything else that you want to say about the week, the tournament, or to all your fans watching?
all my fans. Uh, um, uh, not not really. Good luck in your games, guys.
Awesome.
That's that's all I have to say.
Well, cool. Definitely appreciate everyone that's watched to this point. If you're still here, leave a comment, ping us in Discord. Let us know you're enjoying it because it definitely takes a lot of effort each week to put it together. Hope you guys are enjoying your matches and good luck this week. See ya.
See ya.